Hey everybody, it is Deanna, and we are here with Elizabeth Nader, who she's been on before, and I'm so excited to have her back. She is a mindset coach, a speaker, author, entrepreneur, and she is doing something flipping amazing coming up. You have a summit happening August 1st, just in a few days, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me back on. I love our interviews. Even if no one watches, I just want to chat with you. How's that sound?
You know what? I'm right there with you. I agree. It's so much fun. I really have a good
time. Yeah. But I'm really excited. We're at launch. We're launching on Saturday, this amazing summit. So I'm happy to be here to talk to you about it because it's all about fear. So I think, can you relate to that?
Not at all.
Not at all.
I've never, I've never been afraid of anything, right? Of course I can relate to it. Yeah, absolutely. A million times over. Yeah, I can relate to fear. Before we get started on talking about fear and your summit, can you just share just a little bit about who you are? Because I think you are amazing. Oh. I do. I am so glad that Lori connected the two of us. And she goes, you will love each other. And I'm like, oh my God, total slam dunk with that. Yes, I do. So, yeah. But can you share a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, I will. No, and I feel the same way about you. But anyway, I'm so excited. Yes, I am a mindset coach, speaker, author, entrepreneur. I published my first book last fall, which is Master Your Mindset, The Master's Way. It's all about conquering limiting beliefs, pursuing your purpose. So I have a background in entrepreneurism for almost 20 years now. Before that, I had a big corporate career. So you know how that is. You sort of pick up along the way, things you want to do, things you don't want to do. You learn a lot of life lessons. I've succeeded a lot and failed a lot. And all of that kind of culminated in me wanting to help other people. And so I used to just coach entrepreneurs starting new businesses. Now you are an entrepreneur coach, so you know what that's like. And I have to tell you, I pivoted into mindset because I kept coming up against the same issues with the people I was coaching. And I was like, until they deal with this stuff, they're not going to get to where they want to go. So I pivoted, and that's where I found myself. So the community that we're creating is amazing. I love what I do. I just want people to be able to get past those limiting beliefs that we all have. And they're with us our whole life, different ones, right? We get over one. Yeah. There's a new one, so that they can really find out why they were created. What are they supposed to do with their life? And, you know, a lot of us, we can be in our 50s and our 60s and not even know it. And to me, I'm not okay with that. So my mission in life is helping people get past the things that hold them back so they can see themselves correctly, so they can be who they were supposed to be, so they can change their world.
I love that. And I couldn't agree with you more. I know when I'm coaching new entrepreneurs and even seasoned entrepreneurs, the biggest obstacle is mindset. Yeah. It's all that doubt. It's all that imposter syndrome going on, right? And we all have done it, and it doesn't end. We just need the tools to learn how to shift it. Yeah. Which is what you do, right?
Yeah. And the good news is that you actually can overcome it, you know, and then a new one will enter. But every time I say that you push yourself, either in your career or in your business or even in your personal life, it's like an emotional trigger you have to deal with. And when you overcome that, then honestly, you can do that. And then the next level you want to go to in your life, it's like new level, new devil, right? Now you're facing something else, but it works. And I've seen the change in my life. I've seen the change in people around me. And I am just I'm a coach, right? Not a counselor. So I'm like, Deanna, deal with your stuff. Let's go, Deanna. Here's what you need to do. I'm going to cheer you on. But I'm like, well, let's not have the same conversation in a year, because in a year from now, let's face something else because we've pushed through. So that is my heart. I have a coach's heart, and I hold myself to the same standard. So it's, it's just a life full of reaching for what we're supposed to be and being everything that we can be in this very short time that we have.
Right. So you have this huge summit happening on August 1st. You've got 22 presenters, experts that are going to be talking, and this is free, right?
Yeah, it's free. No cost. Well, this is a time of serving, and you know that. And by the way, we always serve, right? I mean, in order to be an effective leader, we need to be serving. But this season, more than any. So let me back up to March. I think is it March 18th or March 17th, the literal for us in New Jersey, the shutdown day where we were told that we're just going to have to stay home for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
2 weeks. Well, anyway, a few months later, but we all across the country and really across the world, we saw something happen that unprecedented. I heard someone say the other day, I think Lori said this to me, I don't want to live in unprecedented times. I want to live in precedented times. That's not even a thing, but we're sort of tired of all this new stuff. I don't even want to say that one phrase. Anyway, so I'm seeing this in March, and I took the opportunity and I did it with my community to say, all right, guys, we have this shutdown coming. And at that time, we were told 2 weeks, and then the president told us 30 days, and nobody knows anything, right? But we're looking at a 30-day, and I said, this is an opportunity for you guys to do something, to make a change in your life, to take a 30-day challenge. I took it on myself. And I said, you know what? I want to bring something to the world that will help them deal with their fears, because fear is now more than it ever has been the biggest thing that really challenges us. It is swirling out there. It is in the atmosphere. And I don't care if you're Tony Robbins, you're still going to have to address it in your life, right? It's true. Yeah. You see it like stamped on people's foreheads. I mean, it's just fear everywhere. Right. So I thought, this is a time to serve. This is a time to come to the community and say, how can we help? And so a summit is really just about getting a bunch of thought leaders together to share their stories. And all of us have stories, but it's really fun when you get to talk to somebody who's had the really, really high highs and the really, really low lows. Yeah. And they share with you how they made it through and came to the other side. And it gives you that sense that I can do this too. So I decided to call it Flatten Your Fear. Of course, playing on the whole flatten the curve, right, which was supposed to take 2 weeks. So it didn't. But we can flatten your fear in 2 weeks, right? No. Absolutely. In 22 days. It's the 22 days to flatten your fear. It's a choice, Deanna. That's the thing. We are not in control of what's going on out there. And if we didn't know that already before March, I'm sure you've learned that lesson, right?
Yes.
No control. The only thing we have control over, the one thing, is our mindset, how we react to what is happening. And so that's what this is about. This summit is about encouraging you to react correctly to what's happening in your world, in your life, to encouraging you that you can get past the fear. One huge thing I want to say is that, faith and fear, and Damon West brings this up. He's my first interview. Damon West of the Coffee Bean. Damon West. I mean, this guy's story is amazing, right?
Yes. You know what? I was going to ask you about it without giving too much away.
Okay.
You shared the very first video with me so I can get a taste of what this summit is going to be about. And wow, it's all I can say listening to that interview. That message, his story, absolutely needs to be shared. I mean, what a great example. And again, I don't want to give too much away. So why don't you share what we can? Yeah,
that's okay. Yeah, I'm glad you watched that. I gave you a little peek. He hasn't even seen it yet. So but he did the interview, so he knows what he did. He knows what he did. But his story is one of those that I just wanted to tell. And of course, he tells it. He's got a book and a few books, and he goes out and speaks. But this is a guy that, by all measures, should have just attained the highest heights of success in this world. And he made choices and allowed fear to drive him to things that really destroyed his life, and getting a 65-year prison sentence and then coming back from that and what that all looked like. But all along the way, the lessons that he was learning eventually turned into the man he is today, and frankly, his purpose and affecting others. And what he says in one of the many gems, there are a million gems in this interview, but one of the things he says is, that his co-author of The Coffee Bean, John Gordon, who most motivational people know all of his books, right? The Energy Bus, Positive Dog, all of that. They wrote a book together, and you have to watch the video to find out why. But one of the things, that he says that I love is John Gordon always says, faith and fear, they have more in common than just starting with F, right? They are the same. They are both belief in something that hasn't happened yet. They are both saying to you, believe this, put your faith, your faith, you can put faith and fear, frankly, put your, all your marbles in this, like, this is what we're going to hold on to. Well, you have a choice. Is it fear or is it faith? It takes the same amount of energy to believe in one as to believe in the other. But we know that they couldn't be more different in terms of how they eventually impact your life. One can destroy it and one can absolutely heal you, life affirming, change things, change the world. It's a choice. And that ultimately is what this whole summit is about, is choosing faith over fear and choosing to push past those things that are holding you back.
I love that because I mean, I never thought about that. I never really took a moment to realize that faith and fear are really the same energy goes into either. And you do make a choice. There was something he said in the interview too, that it was like an aha moment. And I don't know why, because everything he said, like a lot of it was kind of common sense, like that common sense that you don't think about until you think about it, right?
Yeah, that's so true. Until you need it.
Yeah. And he said that fear is equal to theft. It steals your joy. It steals so much from us when we're afraid. And I was like, gosh, you know what? He's so right.
Yeah.
It really does. Like fear, it just takes so much away from us.
It does. And anyone hearing that right now is saying, yes, the times in your life when fear is a theft. Fear stole from you. My grandmother, who lived to be 104 years old, she would say to me, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, all the time. She said, everything I worried about in my life never came to pass. And she used that description of worry like being in a rocking chair and never going anywhere, that it steals from you. It steals the moment. It steals tomorrow. And worry and fear are the same thing, right? You're spending energy on something that hasn't happened yet. And so I really would say to people, why are you making that choice? And I think that's where we start to uncover the limiting beliefs, something that's telling you you're not worthy. So why would you believe something positive about your life, right? Something telling you that you failed too much. So why would you believe that you could succeed? You'd rather stay small. Something that tells you that it's too late. You've made too many mistakes. So why have belief in something positive? Fear then keeps you from stepping out, because if you fail again, what will happen? And so it's really fear becomes almost a blanket that we cover ourselves in, and we have this perceived sense of safety, when in fact it's quite the opposite. Fear is completely holding us back. And if you think about yourself, like Deanna, right now, when you think about what you do, and I know you have a lot of stories about how you've helped people in their businesses, and that satisfaction that comes from knowing that your gifts mattered. If you chose not to do that, and you chose not to step out, and you chose to play small, yes, someone else in this world may have filled that need, but never like you could have. And so the world as a whole is missing out on you, and you matter, and someone needs you. I don't care if it's one person. And like I say to you, I'll go live, I'll do anything if it's one person who hears this and is helped. Because at the end of all this, that's all that matters. And Damon said in his interview, he said, I want to be useful. They asked him at the parole board, at the parole hearing, give us one word to describe, what you want to be or what you are. And he said useful. And meaning, I want to make a difference. Like, why go through all of this without helping other people? So each of those interviews has that same feeling, but they're also different. They're also unique. Some of these people, you're just going to have a blast watching this. I can't wait.
Yes. And I mean, I'm just listening to you. I'm like, gosh, you just dropped so many nuggets. Like you really did. And if this is a part where I would say, like, pause, rewind, re-listen to what you just said, because there is so much good stuff in that.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing all that. And I love you shared about your grandma. First off.
Yeah.
Gosh, I hope to live to be 104. God bless her.
Amazing. Everyone she knew was dead, like, her age, like she outlived everyone, and she was right to the end, totally with it. So yeah, that's the way to do it, right? It was amazing.
My dad would say the same thing to me in college. It's probably the first time that I started really worrying about anything.
Yeah.
And he would say the same thing, like, why are you worrying? It solves nothing.
Yep.
It
It's
just
so true.
Through. And it's like, okay, you're right. And at that time, I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Well, when you're younger, it's easier to believe those things. But the problem is, as we age, our bad belief systems get sort of more deeply entrenched. And so in order to doubt them and to challenge them, we have to do a little more work. But believe me, it's worth it. And at any point, and here's the other thing I think that's interesting. When you look at the 22 speakers, they're coming from all walks of life. We've got people from the sports field, entertainment, the arts, healthcare. I've got an amazing doctor coming on. You're looking at Kenny Bayless, the #1 boxing referee in the world. These are people that you look at and you say, well, they're successful and they know what they're doing, so they're not me. They don't deal with this stuff. Not true. Each story, they talk about how their fear almost held them back, how if they hadn't reacted correctly, they wouldn't be where they are today, and how they had to fight for that. You've got JJ Burden, who is one of the smallest players ever in the NFL. And by every measure, he should have never made it. Yet he had a 9-year-long career, which nobody has, right? The very few have a career that long. Smallest guy, was really not recruited, like, walk on and give it a try, but he wouldn't give up. He had a mission, he had a plan, he was focused. So you look at that and you say, how am I any different? You know what? You're not any different. This is where we're all the same in humanity. It's a choice. It's a choice to push back what's meaning to keep us back, and to understand that we have something to bring to this world, and we've got to do the work to do it.
So you're talking about all these different people. For anybody just hopping on right now, everybody that she mentioned is part of a summit that's starting on August 1st. It is free to be part of the summit. You just go to flattenyourfear.com and register, and you're going to be sending out just a video of these interviews, right, into your email box. You don't have to show up at a certain time.
No, super easy. No, it's super easy. It's not intrusive. The video they're about half an hour long. I think Damon's was a little bit longer because I just couldn't stop talking to him. But, they're each about half an hour, and they'll come to your email every day. And at the end, on August 23rd, when it's all over, I'll send you links to all of them to watch one more time before I pull them. But, it's really for you in the privacy of your own situation, just to absorb this, watch it as many times as you need to. You don't have to show up for anything. Just show up in your own honesty, and be willing to be challenged and open to yourself, because that's where the work starts. No one else needs to know the things you're dealing with, but be willing to make the change. And that's, I think, where a lot of people are at right now is, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to keep going through this. And we don't know what tomorrow brings. Do you have any idea? I mean, day to day? No.
No. Sometimes I wish I had that crystal ball to tell what tomorrow brings. And then other days I'm glad that I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm mostly glad that I don't know. Yeah. Because I think there's something about that ignorance that is bliss, right? Yeah. And we're not really we're not meant to know. Right. But also keep in mind, we do have the ability to form some of what happens to us. And again, it's only within the boundaries of our thought life. But, the idea that what you think upon expands, and that you attract into your life what you focus on. So if you're going to be in fear, and you're speaking fear, and you're thinking fear, guess what's going to be in your life? Fear-based outcomes, negativity, limitations, because that's what you're speaking and that's what you're thinking. So in the darkest moment of your life, in the most challenging time, you can admit that it's difficult. We can say, this is hard, but we can also speak out words that change our outlook. We can also attract into our life possibility and healing, and we can use that experience to help us. But it starts here and it comes out here. And I can't make you do that, and you can't make me do that. That's the choice that you have to make.
I think it's so important to be aware of the words that we're using.
So true. Yes.
And I'm sure we've all met people, right, who live in this world of, the world's going to explode. Everything is bad. I can't get out of this, right? And it's a real challenge for them to shift their words, because they are so used to living in that that black hole of darkness. I don't know how to describe it, right?
Yeah. It's a negativity.
They just really struggle with shifting. What advice would you tell someone? And maybe we all have had moments when we get in that funk and it's a little bit hard. Maybe we don't live there long term, but maybe a week or a day, or, we just have those moments where it's just like everything is piling up on us and we're living in that black hole of darkness.
Of course we have those moments. And, there's a lot of teaching on this and I get really excited about that. So anybody that's listening, come into my world and you can see some teachings on this. But, I talk about two things I want to share with you. One is the mind of man and how our deeply held beliefs go into our thought realm, come out as words, come out as choices, emotions. It's this flow that we all experience. And I try to slow it down for people so they can make decisions along the way of how to change things, so we can go back and actually change our words, change our thoughts. So there is a process to do this. And in the beginning, when you learn this, you have to kind of slow it all down to say, where are those words coming from? Oh, I had that negative thought. Why am I having a negative thought? Oh, I have a deeply held belief that's this. And so we go and we look to heal all of that so we can change, the flow, because what happens from the deeply held belief to the thoughts, to the words, to the emotions, to the feelings, to the choices, to the results. And we can map back any negative or positive result in your life and take it all the way back through that whole process to a deeply held belief. But I also have a thing that I've seen, people use is amazing. And I keep this on my desk just as a reminder. This is a ladder. And if you've ever heard of the thought ladder, it's the best thing. And this is just a reminder of why it's so great. It's keeping this, because we all have to do this. It's not like I'm immune. I didn't figure out some magic formula. In fact, if you want to struggle with something, write a book on it. So trust me, I've done my time in the realm of mindset and fear and all the things that we're talking about. But this thought ladder is another great exercise, because on the bottom rung, and it can have as many or as few rungs as you need, is that negative thought or those negative words, right? That we say. And it's not easy for me to just say, hey, Deanna, just start thinking positively. Just stop talking like that. Positive thinking has no power because it has no depth. It's just very shallow, because our negativity is coming from a place that's deep. It's coming from pain, hurt, fear. It's coming from things we have to deal with. So positive thinking is like a Band-Aid. It doesn't really solve it. So what do we need to do to get away from this negative thought? Is we have to replace it. And we have to use neuroplasticity in our brain to do that, which speaks about the fact that our thought life actually changes our brain waves and actually creates grooves. And I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I know I've studied, right? Go to Caroline Leaf, Dr. Daniel Amen. These people know what they're talking about. But we actually can change the way our brain looks on a scan, with enough negative thoughts. Well, if our thought life changes our brain, then if we have positive thoughts, it does the same. So what if I were to just think something more neutral? What if I were to replace that negative thought, that fear-based thought that automatically comes to me because I've trained my brain, with something a little more neutral? Right? A thought that's like, well, I'm a failure. Well, no, I'm not really a failure. I'm just waiting to find my purpose. If I train my brain to react to that negative thought with a more neutral thought, and I do that long enough, it'll become automatic. Then what do? We keep moving up the thought ladder. And then eventually, depending on how deeply seated that is, I make it to the top with that positive affirming thought that I've trained my brain to think. I actually believe it, and it's actually changing my life. So I never want someone to think this is easy. Just think something positive. That's not fair to people. It's not always easy, but it can be. It's like training your muscles. Your brain is your biggest muscle. Train it. Think of the thought ladder. Remember this, guys, and work your way up, and it will change your life.
So give me an example of neutralizing that thought, right? So let's just say that I have a business and it's growing, but my negative self-talk is that I can't do this. Like you're way in over your head.
Yep.
What made you even think that you could do this? Right?
Yeah.
And those are real, because I've heard those, I felt those, and I've heard those comments from other entrepreneurs. How do you neutralize that thought? Give me an example of what you might say to yourself.
Well, I think with that example, I would make several thought ladders, because when an entrepreneur is saying, I can't do this, I won't be successful, that's full of different measures of what is considered success. So if I were to break that up and say, so here's something neutral, like I can't do this, something neutral would be, I can make $1,000 a month. Like that's a neutral statement. Like if I'm making nothing, right? Like I'm doing this, I'm making nothing. It's like setting a goal, but it's changing a thought. Does that make sense? So instead of saying, I'm not making anything, I'm saying, I am worthy of making $1,000 a month. And you know where I'm going with that, right? It's a goal setting, but it's changing your mind. Eventually you're saying, I am worthy of 7 figures. Like you can't go from 0 figures to 7 figures just because you think you're going to attract that into your life. That is a lie. That's not going to happen. It's not that way. So the thought ladder can also be used in a goal setting way where you start to change that negative belief that this isn't going to work. I'm not worthy. Wait a minute. I'm worthy at least this. And all of a sudden you see that you're making that. And then you say, I believe I'm worthy of this. So you can use it that way. You can also use it to say, well, what's another way that we can determine what you consider to be success? You know, have I made these relationships, these contacts? Have I been able to achieve this in my business, right? So that we set up, this example really lends itself well to multiple thought ladders that I would almost use in a reverse goal setting way, if that makes sense. Because setting a goal is one thing. And I think we have a tendency to think, well, if I just put it on a vision board, it's going to happen. But it's not if you don't think you're worth it. It's not if you don't believe inside that you can achieve it. So how do you get to the yacht that's on your vision board, right? And not making fun of the yacht, go for the yacht. But how do you get there? Well, you might start with a dinghy. You might start with a, rowboat. You might say, you have to have faith for something. So that faith will show up in thoughts, words, and beliefs. So we use the thought letter in that way as well. Let's say if you believe that there are people like with the diet thing, I always use that. They believe they'll never lose weight because they've been told that their whole life, like their family's overweight, their family's unhealthy, and they've heard that. So a thought ladder could be used there when the bottom rung says, I'll always be unhealthy, I'll always be overweight. Now we start to believe that, you know what? I can walk a mile. I can do this twice a week. And then the next thought is, you know what? I can actually get up out of bed at 6 a.m. 3 days a week, and I can jog a mile. Whatever that looks like, it's again, I feel like the goals are right there, but it's changing your brain. Because if you tell your brain, I can't do something, guess what? You can't do it. It's like didn't Henry Ford say that? Yeah, Henry Ford said if you think you can do it, you can, or if you think you can't, you can't. Something like that. I'm totally paraphrasing it, but yeah, same thing.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, look it up. I don't remember.
Look it up. So I have your website below, flattenyourfear.com. And again, this is to register for Elizabeth's summit. She's Flatten Your Fear Summit. It's a 22-day summit that starts on August 1st with 22 amazing speakers. It is free. You don't have to do anything. You just open your email. You can't. It could not get easier. It's
even easier than a Zoom. Like you can show up. You know how the Zooms, everyone's got their PJs on their pants and like a nice top. You don't even have to do that. You can be full on PJs. Like no one's gonna know. Just enjoy it, but let it change you. Let it challenge you.
So a final thought. Why should we register for this summit?
Because fear will keep you from your purpose. And there's not one person on this planet who doesn't want to experience their purpose, because you were created on purpose for a purpose. And I hope everyone figures that out, but fear will keep you from it. Let's get past it. Let's get strategies to deal with it, and let's conquer it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Elizabeth, thank you so much for agreeing to come back on today.
Anytime.
It. We had a little pause with my move to Florida. So it was went on a few weeks of a break and reached out and I said, would you want to do this? And you're like a hell yes kind of a girl. You're like,
anytime. I want to live my life live. No, I don't. But anytime, Deanna, anytime. And congrats on the Florida move.
Thank you.
And exciting for you to have something new in your life. Who knows where that's going to go?
Right. It's going to be interesting and it's fun. Life's an adventure. So, but thank you again. Everybody who's watching, flattenyourfear.com. Go to the website, register for this summit. I promise you won't regret it. I only got to watch one. so far, and it was amazing, and it was definitely inspirational, and I can't wait to watch the other 21 of them. So
awesome. Thank you, Deanna.
Thank you so much. We'll
talk to you soon.
next week.
Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.